night in old New York.
All my life I've been misunderstood. I just rule my family as a father. I was the most respected man in New York and all over the country. I came from the family Bonanno, who has a great tradition in Sicily, and I came here with honor.
I am not ashamed of who I am or what I am. I've accepted the life that was handed to me, and I've tried to do the best that I can. Never, never did my father ever tell me I had to marry anyone. However, he made it a point to make me understand who I was, what was expected of me in the future, and that it would be advisable and better if we married our own kind.
Bill Bonanno, the oldest son of Joe Bonanno, would end up marrying Rosalie Profaci, the daughter of Salvatore Profaci Sr., brother of Profaci crime family boss Joe Profaci, cementing an alliance between the two crime families, and with their marriage, creating what some called Mafia royalty, only adding to the power of Joe Bonanno.
My father would, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, would go into this hall and sit in an office in the back. And various people from the neighborhood would come in and ask favors. Somebody had a sick child and she couldn't pay the doctor. And my father would arrange for that. Somebody else had a husband who was cheating on her and she wanted to know what to do. He would take care of that. That happened twice a week. So when that happens, you begin to form the ideas that when you have a problem, you know where to go. Our number 3 man was gravely ill, and I had been told, see what you can do to make life easy for him. And as a result of that, I started becoming his eyes and ears. Our culture taught us to act like men. And acting like men meant keeping your mouth shut. Omerta comes from the root manly, and it simply means to act like a man. And a man doesn't get somebody else into trouble. Therefore, he doesn't say, John did it. Who hit you in the face? John hit me in the face. A man will see to it that John gets hit in the face.
By controlling the unions as well as the raw materials, such as steel and cement, Joe Bonanno and the Bonanno family had major influence on the construction industry.
You construct a building, and you'd put in even just a 2 or 3 cent increase on the value of the cement that we use in that building, which could turn into millions of dollars. It wasn't just one little thing, but you multiply this by hundreds and hundreds and thousands of activities that were going on throughout the country, and you got a force to be reckoned with. I can remember a time, and I participated in some of those meetings, and the decisions that had to be made were, you're going to be the next federal judge, you're going to be the next governor, you're going to be the next senator, you're going to be the next House of Representatives candidate. The men got up after those decisions, and lo and behold, it happened. I had dinner at a little restaurant, and I was there with 2 other friends, and we were sitting around, and they said, you have a look of nostalgia on your face. What's up? I said, you know, I used to come here in the late 40s and the early 50s, and I turned around and I said, I used to sit in that corner back there. And I used to meet with a captain and 2 lieutenants from law enforcement. And one of them said, well, what were you doing here? I said, we were giving them their envelopes. Envelopes for what? To look the other way while we had the gambling, we had the horse racing, the bookmaking, and the numbers. Charlie Lucky was an Americanized product born in Sicily but came over here at a very early age. There was a meeting in 1931 between my father and Luciano where my father said, I have no reason to have any problems with you. Do you have any problems with me? They agreed to a peace. The conclusion of that meeting was the establishment of un comitato de pace, which was a committee for peace. However, because there were some Americanized guys that couldn't say the words correctly, they decided to say, well, let's call it the commission. Luciano and his friends decided that the shooting that was going on wasn't good for business. My dad told me many years ago that only a mad dog wants to hurt another human being without just cause. We can't make money with guns in our hand, was his expression, the expression that I heard over and over again. We can't make money with guns in our hand. All of the problems that developed between Bonannos and the so-called commission could be laid directly at the doorstep of Steve Magadino. We caused our own downfall in that respect because it caused dissension among ourselves. Sicily has a long history of mistrust of authority. There's an old saying back there that to know a man, you have to know his father, and his father before him, and his father before him. And once that happens, there is very little room for betrayal. My dad told me that one of the leaders of the Palermo Mafia came to him and said that there's a few people that they would like to talk to him about certain problems that they're having here in Sicily. The purpose of the meeting was to pick my father's brains as to how they were going to resolve a problem they were beginning to have among each other over the narcotics trade in Turkey. Various families within the Mafia were at odds as to whether they should or they shouldn't get themselves involved with this. And the younger element saw nothing wrong in making a profit. There was friction among the various families. Some of the younger people, especially those in New York and in Boston and in Chicago, thought that this was the great new thing coming. Speaking strictly about money, it was at that meeting that he suggested that one of the ways that they might resolve their problem and have a little better handle on the situation is to do what the Americans had done, and that was to form a commission. There is no tradition today on the streets. It's dog eat dog and hurt or be hurt.
Salvatore Bill Bonanno ended up leaving New York and heading west where he would face his share of legal problems, ultimately serving several years in prison. Bill Bonanno eventually became a writer and produced films for television like the 1999 miniseries, Bonanno: A Godfather Story. In 2008, at the age of 75, Bill Bonanno passed away. Joe Bonanno would serve as the official boss of the Bonanno crime family from 1931 to 1968, but would eventually be exiled from the very crime family that he had built, settling in Arizona. On May 11, 2002, Joe Bonanno, the last surviving member of the original Mafia Commission, died at the age of 97, closing out a chapter in the history of the American Mafia.